Tony, I ain't gonna lie, boy, this bitch so hard, bro.
I know you listen to this popular stress. I know you probably got a lot on your chest, but with at the struggle there be no progress. Now what's a dream and a vision if you settle for less than so many times I wonder how I will make it out. Got one life and so I got to make it count.
It's Passive Wealth Tuesday. It's your girl, Queen Red, Wealth Independence Navigation Coach.
It's your girl, Coach Keisha.
And we got something in store for you. So today we are going to be talking about something a little bit different but exciting. We're going to be talking about gentrification and education. And the best place to start is an experience we had in Houston, right? I have to open this up with a ride. We had a project we started on in 2023. Me and Coach Keisha out there driving. We got a rental, and Keisha's driving now. I'm gonna make her laugh because she probably don't remember this. And she's so into this. She's looking at these places. She's all she's all into looking at these houses. And when I say she like we in the street, she driving and she trying to look at all these places. She said, "Oh my God, they're just really building up out here." But we are noticing that we're in an older prominent neighborhood, right? And we drive down a little bit further, and then they have these new places. These they look like I don't know what they name these model. I have to learn these model homes, these new types of homes they're building, but they have these new places not even far down from there. And then we overhear conversations amongst our movings and businesses that we're doing about, gentrification. And, it's kind of scary. They're buying up the place. And these are historical areas that are being, bought out, and, people getting them and, turn them into Airbnbs. We have our own thing. So this conversation is really to educate people and kind of change their mindset about what gentrification is, right? So I want to kind of give a definition about what the Google University, that's what they call it, says about gentrification, right? It says gentrification is the process of a neighborhood's character changing due to an influx of the wealthiest residents and investments. It can occur in both urban and rural areas. And it says what happens during the gentrification process. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but I'm going to give you the highlights. It says economic change happens, demographic change happens, displacement happens. So those three things does happen, right? Economic change, demographic change, and displacements. Now, I've seen this, having been born in New York, I've seen this. I can go back home right now where I grew up at on Prospect Place in Brooklyn and see that it's a huge change in the neighborhood, but one of the things that me and Coach Keisha agreed on is that gentrification can be looked at in a number of ways. There's some celebrities that we like. I know, like Slim Thug, even what's that one guy, Little Boosie? Is his name Little Boosie? He has his own land. He got a whole plot. He bought in. Look, I'm okay, right? So and he has land, but once again, to me, it's a mindset.
Yeah, he develops. Mm-hmm.
It's a mindset, and I'm going to these people for a reason, because these are us. They are us. Mm-hmm. They took the concept of gentrification. Even matter of fact, what's the gosh, who is it? It's let me come to it. It is, I want to say, Mike Epps. That's who it is. Mike Epps recently bought back the whole neighborhood that he grew up in, remodeled it, and now he's making it to where people can afford to live. T.I. doing this.
T.I.
So they took the power of gentrification and made it something completely different. So what that tells me, that it's a mindset thing.
Yeah, I would have to agree that it's all based on your perspective. If you
Yes.
see it as good or bad,
Yep.
it really depends on where you fall at.
Yes.
Because read those three
Yeah,
top
I
things
got
again.
you. I
Because when
got
you read those, that brought a lot of things to my
It
mind.
says what happens during gentrification. It says economic change.
hmm
It says demographic change and displacement.
Exact. And those are the main three things people are mostly concerned about. They're looking at, okay, this is normally is in poverty stricken
Yes.
area or
Yes.
underserved
Yes.
markets. These are a lot of areas that we know family and friends ourselves
Yep.
grew up in. Same testimony that you have about going back to New York. It's the same thing for me going back to New Orleans. Like, this don't
The-
even
look
look the
like,
same,
yeah.
right? But there's always the writing on the wall.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
always the writing on the wall when those things are getting ready to take place. And what you have to understand is gentrification is not a new thing.
It's not.
And there are people that are going to be deeply affected by it,
Yes.
but there are also people that are going to become lucrative from
Yep.
it. What side of the fence you gonna be on? That's really what it boiled down to. Because nothing don't stay the same. Nothing stays the same. That's just the reality of
That's
it.
the nature of the beast.
Nothing stays
Yeah.
the same. There is going to be change.
There is.
Are you going to be a part of the change, or are you going to be railroad by the change?
I always say, are you going to be a consumer of it, or are you going to be a producer of
Exactly.
it? You know.
And so all of us have opportunities to be that first mover.
Yes.
That's what I would call the first mover when it comes to gentrification.
Risk taker.
And exactly, I was just getting ready to lead into that. But you have to be willing to be a risk taker, because gentrification don't just happen overnight.
No.
It's not like today they build this nice little building in the middle of the ghetto, and then tomorrow people are displaced. That's not how it happens.
Nope.
But when you're educated,
right?
When you're educated and you know the writing on the wall, then you can actually begin to participate in that and get ahead of it, so you and your family are not the ones that are displaced.
Come on.
Because that's really the biggest issue.
Yes.
These people become displaced. Where they're going to go?
Yes.
Well, they're displaced because one, they cannot handle the economic growth and the change in the area, because they're not educated on the economic growth and change in the area. It's just you're not educated.
Right.
So when you become educated, when you know these things are inevitable, then you not only can change your neighborhood, but you could go to other neighborhoods and do the same.
Yes. Come on. You coaching.
You be a first mover. You cannot be the second mover on these type of things. You have to get ahead of it. Part of that is being involved in your local government.
I knew you were going to say that.
I ain't gonna preach to y'all. I'm just saying.
This is true.
It's true. You have to be a part of your local government. In Killeen, I knew Killeen was undergoing this change 10 years ago, because I've been to a couple of the city hall meetings, and I saw the 10-year plan. Oh, this is what we plan to do. Most cities have a 10-year plan.
Yes.
Go find out what the 10-year plan is, and that's going to tell you where you're going to be at. But most of us in those neighborhoods are in survival mode. So we're not thinking about what's ahead. We're thinking about right now. We're thinking about today. But when you want to have a passive wealth mindset, when passive wealth is just not about money, it's about mindset. If you want to have a passive wealth mindset, then you're going to think about 10 years ahead, because what you do today affects you tomorrow.
She's on fire.
Oh, yes, I am. How they say, let me cook. Let me cook.
Look.
So we have to be educated. Like, don't be mad. That is a pet peeve for me, when people are so quick to just be mad about what's going on, and they have no solution, no resolution, no ideas, no nothing. You just sit back and complain.
See, with me, I don't contribute to conversations that I know I'm not going to contribute to the solution.
Come on.
I'm not.
That's it.
I'm just going to observe.
That's it.
I mean?
That's it.
I'm not.
That's it.
I'm not
I
gonna
agree.
waste my energy.
I agree 1000%. If you're not gonna contribute to it, then just be quiet, move over,
And
move
you
around.
see this all the time in certain things, and I'm loving what you're saying right now about this, because this is where we as people make great change. This is where we have great power. This is where we can make absolute pivots and change our communities, and like you said, that passive wealth for ourselves, our families. This is where it happens.
This is exactly where it's
This is where it
happening.
happens.
Yeah. And even in that, just touching on the fact of how you said, if you're not going to contribute, then observe. And that's what mostly people are doing. And my thing is this: I know you're being uprooted from your neighborhood. You and grandma and great grandma, uncle, cousin, sister, brother. Y'all lived in the same neighborhood, same block. Y'all grew up. That's what. But at what point do sister, brother, cousin, grandma, great grandma get together and say, hey, we can actually buy this house instead of renting it for 45 years? If you don't own it, you have no say so. So there has to be some level of accountability. Ouch, because I'm sure somebody gonna be like, what about them? And you don't think about the poor and this. I didn't say none of that. All I'm saying is there has to be a level of accountability that if you cannot join in, then I'm sure there are other communities that you can live in. And that's just the fact about it. And it's a harsh truth. And I'm not for, I got a tenant now. I could raise her rent to the maximum amount, but I just won't, because one, I don't want to displace her, and I'm not a greedy person, right? And I get it. Some people feel like, oh, they're just being greedy, this, that, but you got to understand where you live at and the game that you're playing. We live in a capitalistic society. Either you learn the game and learn how to play it, or you get played.
And that comes with education.
It comes with, you got to be educated.
You have to be educated. And this is the thing, when we say educated, that doesn't mean you have to go to school and college and all these things. No, that's not what we're saying. You can learn it by getting involved in it. And this is where we, once again, Problem Solve University, 197. You don't have to go to college. You don't got to get your broker's license. If you're trying to get into the real estate game of understanding how I can change my mindset, how can I change my family's mindset? We just had a whole family go through the Problem Solve University to get their property that they inherited from their family and turn it into a short-term rental. It is very much possible for you to be a game changer, a risk taker in your community, and what you said, the first.
Be a first mover on it. Be a first mover. Start cutting your look. If y'all see my grass right now, y'all be like, how this girl? Let me tell you something. Adding a flower bed is part of gentrification. People don't think about those things. What it said, it changed the character of the neighborhood. That's a part of it. That's one of the signs. They start putting walking parks in your neighborhood. Let me tell you one of the telltale signs. I went to this place. I ain't gonna say the name, but I went to this place in Arkansas, right? I went to Arkansas, and people was just like, oh, you don't want to go to this particular place. It's so dangerous, so this and so that. And oh my God, the murder rate is such and such, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not stupid, but I'm not afraid of those type of things. I grew up in New Orleans. It's literally murder capital of the world at one time during my time of growing up. So I know how to finagle through those type of environments. But when I went to go ride around, and I know that to be true, I got to have a driver when I'm in neighborhoods. My husband will tell you, because I'm trying to look at every property, every door. And I begin to see the signs on the wall. I said, definitely a ran down neighborhood, definitely a bunch of slumlords, definitely a underserved community. But what I noticed was it was a $1.5 million aquatic center in the middle of the hood. It ain't that bad.
Right. Something's going on.
This neighborhood ain't that bad. They'd invested $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me all these houses are run down, broke down, and y'all put a $1.5 million aquatic center? First of all, most black people, I know how to swim. I did not know black people didn't go swimming.
I don't know how to swim.
What? I just found out my
still
mama
don't
didn't know how to swim. I did not know black people didn't go swimming. Like I was really confused by that. Like my grandma don't know how to swim, my mama don't know how to swim. I'm like, why y'all don't know how to swim? They not coming to take y'all again. Y'all get in some water. But anyway,
Oh
why
my
an
goodness.
aquatic center, not a swimming pool, an aquatic center,
Because they about to make some changes.
not a community swimming pool, a community park, an aquatic center. That's what the newspaper called it. So when you start using words like that, oh yeah,
they're trying to attract a different crowd.
they're trying to attract a different crowd.
Yep.
So when you know that is the you pretty much behind the curveball, but you do still have opportunity to invest.
Yes.
So just in the educational side, if you're living in those type of neighborhoods, stop putting your head in the sand and just look up every now and then. Yeah. In New Orleans, one of the things that I know is in my neighborhood, and my grandmother told me this. She said, "Oh, they changed the name of the street. They changed the name of this prominent street to Mardi Gras Boulevard." I heard, She said, "Yeah, they done changed the name of this street. They're getting ready to do a lot of changes." And although I was 12 when she told me that, I'm 40 something now, and what she said was actually true. They began to change that entire neighborhood. And so we have to be educated on that. And that's very important.
I think sometimes, and this is for anybody, I think sometimes we get scared as a community when things like that happen and we feel powerless.
Yes.
And
we got all the power.
I know. I think we end up feeling powerless because we're not informed and educated. And we end up taking on the what we see, the big picture, out of fear. Like now, in present times, instead of starting at home,
that's right,
starting with yourself,
that's right,
starting with you being the change agent that you want to see. Like, let me at least educate myself so I have a better idea about what's going on with my mindset. How can I change my perspective so I know I'm not in survival mode? I am a risk taker. I can invest in myself. And not only can I invest in myself, I can invest in my family and educate them about what's, and now we can go ahead and make some moves. Let's go ahead and flip Big Mama house. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and get everybody on this problem solve university masterclass for 197. Right? Let's go ahead and get everybody on that. Let's go ahead and get everybody understanding what assets is, what liabilities are, what life insurance is, what stocks are, what REITs are, what buying a multifamily home is, what a flip is. That's where it starts. What can we do to build relationship capital within the family?
Yeah, it's one thing that you said I want to point out, and you said, I almost lost my train of thought. You was talking about risk taker because we are in survival mode. And a part of that, if you want to get out of survival mode, you got to do something different. Otherwise, you're going to stay in survival mode. And that is a true fact. We don't take risks because we're in survival mode. We're like, we barely scraping by. I can't take risks. And, I hear, and I've heard this towards me, like people have said it to me, but I've also heard it when other people will speak and individuals will say, well, that's easy for you to say because you got it. Well, I remember I didn't.
I was just gonna say that. It's like,
I remember I didn't.
Yeah.
It was like, damned if I do, damned if I don't. I remember when I didn't have, and I still was like, well, I got to figure out something. Me and my husband used to have this saying, if it don't meet the need, it must be seed. It ain't meeting the need anyway. So it must be seed. And that's how we begin to sow with our money. I ain't got enough for this bill anyway. So you know what? Let me find somewhere where I can sow it.
I love that.
If it don't meet the need, it must be seed.
I hope y'all heard that.
And we lived by that. Right? We lived by that. And that was because we wanted something different. Obviously, whatever we was doing was not working. So we say, we got to do something different. And so when you're talking about gentrification, again, we all can be a part of that. You don't have to be railroaded by, you don't have to have this disdain, I think that's the right word, feeling about it.
Yes.
I know the guy, Regis, he has UPC, and that's one of their biggest thing is, helping people in the neighborhood invest in where they live.
Yes.
And where they work.
Right.
But a lot of times we don't want to even invest in that.
Yes.
And part of investing in where you live and where you work is investing in you, because you're the one that's living there.
Look, this is gonna have to be a part 2, part 3, and
it does. We could talk about this all day long, because I'm telling you, that's where most of my investments are at. It's in those neighborhoods that are being gentrified. So I might be a little biased, but I feel like everyone can take part in it.
Well, I beg to differ. I don't think you're biased at all. I think it's the fact that you've experienced both sides.
I have.
And the same for me.
Yeah,
so it's not that you've seen it from both sides and you understand. I've walked on this side and I've walked on this side, and I see that I could have stayed on this side, but I also know there are ways you don't have to live. Like, I can get out of that.
Yes.
I can make a change.
Yeah.
And
we have to do that.
Everything you said. So once again, this is gentrification and education. This is just informing y'all. We're gonna keep continuing this conversation. And I'm Queen Red, Wealth Independence Navigation Coach. You can follow us on all social media platforms.
Yes, make sure that you guys follow us and share us with your family and friends. And look, check this out. Leave a comment.
Yes.
Like, if you enjoy what we're talking about, let us know.
Chime in.
Give us some feedback.
Yes.
Like,
share, like, subscribe.
Exactly. Let us know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Let us know what you're thinking. But most of all, if you want the tools, the education, we had something up here before, and it said, you don't have to be on this wealth building journey alone.
Yes.
You don't have to do it by yourself. Right? We will walk with you.
Yes.
You will be connected with our network of people that will walk with you and guide you through the process.
Absolutely.
Okay. We are on our journey of passive wealth, and we want you to come along with our journey as well, because we solve problems with
passive wealth, baby.
That's right. Passive wealth. Y'all have a good day.
See, when you invest in something and you hustle and you work for something, you got a different type of attachment to it. You're going to have a cold day in hell for somebody to try to take this from you. We live by this, we die by this. We don't surrender, we don't retreat. Every man must search his own soul. I listen to that quote